I've got like a more specific and a much weirder question. So we love weird. A lot of kids shows, and especially like older kids shows or older Disney movies, have really inappropriate jokes in them that are like, they're so subtle, you know, like the parents get them, the parents love them, but there's no way a kid knows what's going on. So it's still like a kid show, but
for the sake. Sorry, did you have a question on that, or were you?
So my question is, do you do that? Of course.
we do not. I think the good thing about, first of all, that there's a term for that in kids media. It's called cross-writing, and it's when you write underneath.
Hey guys, welcome back. We've got another episode today, and what we have is a super exciting guest. Exciting in the sense that this man's full of energy. We've been talking to him for all of 5 or 10 minutes, and we've been laughing our asses off nonstop. So I'm super excited to see that keep happening. We have with us today Ryder Chasin, who is just this super awesome guy. He is, when I say energetic, I mean he's really energetic. He actually does improv. He's a stand-up comedian. And on top of that, he works with Sesame Street in a very interesting role, one that I didn't even know existed. So we can't wait to talk more about that. And before we go any further, Saad, why don't you jump in real quick?
Alright, you guys, you already know the drill, guys. Please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Salman's got his energy up finally, since we're not shooting at his 5 a.m. anymore. It's switched around now. It's my 3:30 a.m. It's his 5 p.m. right now. So we've switched roles, and he is full of energy. I am always full of energy. And guys, please do show us some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. And let's get to it. Ryder, what is up? How are you doing? It's really good to meet you.
How are you? Fantastic to meet you as well. I hope the laughs in the 5 to 10 minutes before this were with me, not at me, but I can't blame you for either.
They were with you
both.
It's hard to, and I don't fault you for either. Really. All right, good. Both. As long as the ratio is okay, then I'm okay with it. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being up at 3:30 in the morning. One of my favorite times in the morning, but also good in the evening. So it's a great time. How are you?
Well, we're doing
pretty good.
I think it'd be coolest if we jumped right into it. Talk about Sesame Street, your work there, and what made you want to do that specifically.
Yeah, totally. I work at Sesame Street, and it's called the International Social Impact Department. It runs on humanitarian grants, and I work on the show specifically for the Mideast region and refugee kids, displaced kids out there. So the show's all in Arabic. Tries to help kids deal with like big feelings, early childhood traumas and things that they might have experienced in their world. Okay. And tries to help them process those. So I help with the. Thanks.
I have a question. I have a question regarding kids shows. How do you tailor a show like let's say you're an adult right now? How do you create shows being an adult for children? Like generally, I'm sure there's a lot of field research and everything, but like, what are the few things that you have in shows that appeal to children that will not appeal to adults? Like generally, things that stand out immediately.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so it's interesting, and a couple of answers to that question. So on the from the surface level, right, and like the sort of mission oriented mindset with specifically Sesame Street, like there's such an educational bent. So we have a whole team like devoted to education, a whole like education consulting group that like helps us out and make sure that the content we're conveying is relevant to these kids out there, as well as like presented in the best way. And like so there's like a series of goals that we try to communicate through the different like narrative episodes, like whether it's like countering assumptions or like making adaptations or things like that. So trying to come up with like relevant educational objectives, and then as for like actually resonating with kids and like getting engagement, that's a big reason of why I was pulled on. I help with the writing for the show. I'm the writing coordinator for the show, and I come from comedy, a comedy background, and so they want, kids aren't gonna like watch a show and like learn from it unless they're actually like into it and like having fun with it. Laughing. So as much as we can, we try to So as much as we can, we try to put like jokes in it, and like, you know, whether they're like Cookie Monster just like eating a ton of cookies, or like, you know, things like that. It's just being true to the characters and, you know, going that way. I actually to answer some on your initial question as well. I got into it from, you know, doing children's theater in and like children's media stuff in college, and learning through that. You know,
that's super awesome. Like,
yeah.
I'll be honest, I was still like laughing from the last 5 minutes of our conversation when you went into that, but it was just so wholesome that it like kind of brought me down to earth and grounded me. And, you know, I just want to say it's cool to see someone.
If there's
doing
anybody
so
I want near my children, it's this guy. Because this guy's like so wholesome. His energy is like, you know, his energy is like so uplifting and shit like that.
Thank you.
Dude, the shit. I'm assuming you're one funny ass motherfucker in the studio, writing away and like you know, making funny jokes and all that, dude. I'm gonna watch a few of your shows now, dude. Links down in the description below to Sesame Street, Cookie Monster. I don't give a fuck, bro. Subtitles.
Absolutely. Fucking pop it in, dude. I'll send you a DVD hard copy, my guy.
Hell yeah, buddy. That's what we need.
And listen, no judgment either way. I'm gonna wager you don't have children now, but if and when you do, I'm gonna be thrilled to meet them. I think they're gonna be absolute joys.
Fuck yeah, buddy.
The jokes are in Arabic
down,
in the Sesame
bro.
Street one, but it's great. They are in Arabic in the Sesame Street one. I'm happy to. I don't speak any Arabic, but I'm happy to give you the English translation. And then also, I do have English jokes somewhere else too. All right, great. Yeah, great.
Awesome.
We'll
definitely
down, dude.
We'll plug you in because like I'm sure it's great content. But I've got like a more specific and a much weirder question. So we love weird. A lot of kids shows, and especially like older kids shows or older Disney movies, have really inappropriate jokes in them that are like, they're so subtle, you know, like the parents get them, the parents love them, but there's no way a kid knows what's going on. So it's still like a kid show, but
for the sake. Sorry, did you have a question on that, or were you?
So my question is, do you do that? Of course. We do not. I think the good thing about, first of all, that there's a term for that in kids media. It's called cross writing, and it's when you write underneath for the kids and above for the adults. It's like cross writing. Okay.
Right? So that's a thing that writers on shows know full well they're doing. You've seen the SpongeBob drop the soap bit. You've seen the whatever. You know what I mean? Like they know what they're doing. So which I don't even know. I'm glad SpongeBob hasn't been canceled for a joke like that. But Sesame Street, we got to be extremely careful. So also we also don't. Like I said, I don't speak really any Arabic, so there's a language barrier anyway. So the things like this sort of like more subtle stuff, if it's, you know, if they want to write that at all,
it flies right over your head.
It's probably not the.
Flies right over.
It's probably going a little over my head.
That's fair. Yeah. Also, I'm assuming, you know, you guys work off of like humanitarian grants, as you said, and it would kind of suck if like the organization giving out those grants had someone who didn't appreciate that type of humor and they came across it, and that'd be a really awkward situation to see.
From my understanding, organizations that give grants don't like joking about, you know, balls and things of that nature in double entendres. So I don't think that there's going to be jokes like that coming through.
Ryder,
but who knows?
Ryder, sooner or later, will be an organization, hopefully in the future, will be giving grants, and you're going to be our writer. I don't give a fuck. You can make jokes about whatever you want. I don't care. Bro, as long as you're funny, as long as you're you, I'd be down.
Free reign. Thank you.
We will specifically sponsor...
What?
We will specifically sponsor a kid show that has more adult jokes than kid jokes. That will be our claim to fame.
I mean, you gave me the pitch packet right there. I don't even have to write it. I mean, you pretty much promised me the show. That's great. I love that. If we can lock that in and write it, we can get that done.
Damn.
Sounds good.
By the way,
you're
one
the
thing I want to know is that
you.
When did you realize that you want to take the comedy route? When did you realize that you want to take the comedy route? Like, was it in high school? Was it way before that? Were you naturally funny? Did you have to learn how to be funny? Tell us your story, bro.
Totally. High school, there wasn't really an outlet for comedy. Improv specifically for me, my mom just noticed like at a really young age that I liked pretending. So she actually petitioned in my town to like get like an improv comedy for like 4-year-olds started. So I've been doing improv like my whole life since I was like 4 or 5. And through then, but there wasn't any improv in high school. When I got to college, I went to Northwestern in the very same town that Salman is currently residing, and a cold place, but a wonderful little school. And I was on the improv team there from freshman year, and one of the guys that I made the team with, that I was selected for the team with my freshman year, I still do comedy with in the city, and he's one of my like good pals. So really at Northwestern is when I came into like doing comedy for real. I did the improv team there, and then I ended up, we have like a late night show at Northwestern that I ended up being the host of my junior year, and just did like a lot of stuff through there. It was fun. So it just
do you ever get butterflies in your stomach to this day before you stand on stage, like before every show? Do you still get butterflies, or are you over that?
I make sure to eat too many buffalo chicken wings before I go on stage in any given moment to feel anything in my stomach. I just make it completely numb. No, I don't know. I think that my process is very specific. I order a dozen buffalo chicken wings and then another dozen buffalo chicken wings, and then I go on stage. I don't know. I think that I've been acting for a long time. I did some kid acting when I was younger, and so going on stage for me, I had a director say nervous energy is very similar to like being excited, and so I had a lot of whether or not it was manipulation of my brain or actually processing good emotions, I don't know, sort of jury's out, but nerves for coming on stage, I feel lucky to be able to calm a little bit.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. And that there was definitely a show of some comedic genius on your part.
Right, genius. I agree.
Okay,
genius. Yeah.
That's what we call here's where we branch off. Here's where we branch off into one of the more impressive things that comedy is able to do. Guys, one thing that I've learned over the fucking 22 years that I've been alive is that it doesn't matter if you're good looking or you're ugly. If you can make a girl laugh, that is all you need to get a girl. Literally. Dude, if you're funny as fuck, dude, you've got an edge. Dude, so Ryder, I'm assuming, dude, you are fucking killing it in that area, man.
We hope we try, we chip away, we chisel at our skills, and we get there slowly but surely. But
nope. Nope. You are killing it. There's no slowly but surely, buddy. You're way too humble, bro. You're way too humble.
You're too kind. Seriously, that's very nice of you. Look at that facial hair. Look at that. Come on, look at the hair. You guys, you're killing it, man. You have
no.
Please.
All I'm gonna say, Saad, is I don't disagree with anything you said. It's just, where did you go from whatever the hell we were talking about to everything you just said? But hey,
here's the thing, dude.
I've been
I read a lot of articles. and I read a lot of things on the internet. And one of the things is if you're fucking hilarious and you're funny, that's the direct correlation to getting a girl's number or girl's interest. And Ryder's been funny, nothing but funny this entire podcast. Right? Making friends, or basically, bro, developing a connection with anybody, developing a deep connection with anybody. Comedy is a gateway to do that. That is what it is in a nutshell. And I'm assuming Ryder makes a lot of deep connections with a lot of people.
Thank you. I definitely agree with that comedy is a way to connect with people. I also really appreciate you saying at the beginning, it doesn't matter if you're not hot, it's good if you're funny. So I agree with that for sure. That it's worked for me so far. So I sacrifice one thing for the other. Not everyone can. But comedy, I really do think there's a documentary that's it's the guy. I don't know if you guys know Bob's Burgers, but it's the guy who voices.
Fucking love that show.
Yeah, it's amazing show. Okay, amazing show. I haven't watched Central Park yet, but I've heard that one is also amazing on Apple TV, made by the same guy.
I've not seen that yet, but
it's supposed to be really good. But the guy who voices, what's his name? Is it Gabe, the kid, the boy kid, or is it
Gene?
Gene, sorry, yeah, Gene. The guy who voices that runs a whole comedy festival or whatever in New York. That's super funny, and it's a documentary about that. And he says something about comedy in it where he's the deeper you can connect with someone, the sense of humor goes through it too. So it's because you're oh, you find this really specific weird thing funny, so do I. I'm gonna see how much more specific I can get, and we still find that same thing funny. and it's I don't know, it's very
Yeah.
intimate. Like I agree
And
with
that's
that.
how you build
I
a
think that's a
connection.
cool way to connect with people.
That is
And that's
definitely
how you build a
how-
connection.
my type of humor.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
In any case,
Ryder, one
I
more
think
thing
we're
I want to ask
getting
before,
along
before,
intimately.
before I hand it to
Yeah.
Salman. Before I hand it over to Salman, I want to ask you one more thing. I want to ask
Yeah,
you,
please.
do you often throw risky jokes on purpose to test the waters with people? Like I don't know if you're that type of person who like just throw risky jokes at the wall and see what fucking sticks. And if it sticks,
Yeah.
you're like, great, I vibe with this person. And if it doesn't stick, you're like, okay, I wasn't gonna be friends with them anyways. Do you do that, or do you relatively play it safe in your day-to-day conversations?
It's interesting. I'm gonna answer that question as honestly as I can here, being that I think that riskiness can be subjective as well at times, but I also think that you can be measured about it. Like I think you can. I'm trying to get the words right. Like I will throw that kind of like not a risky joke. Like here's what I'll say first: is that riskiness in comedy is a thing that I think a lot of comedians like, or a lot of people who try to do comedy like have misconceptions about, where it's like, oh, I gotta be risky, I gotta be like offensive, or I gotta be whatever. Like where in reality, like it's not really like I don't know if you saw like Shane Gillis is this guy who was like hired for SNL and then very quickly fired from SNL for like some pretty racy things he said.
I don't know what that is.
And he's on Saturday Night Live and he's not on Saturday Night Live anymore. He was like hired and then fired before he ever even got to appear on the show. And he said some things on a podcast that were like just like unforgivable, like not okay, like at all. And he came out and said comedians we have to take risks, and it's like it's not a risk to say something racist. It's just saying something racist. There's no you have a certainty there. You know what I mean? Like
of course,
the certainty is that you're going to have a racist, or whatever it is. Yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah. But like that's obviously like an extreme example. But like risky, like in like being like sort of weird and offbeat, I'll definitely do with people to see if they can will get it, and like that I can like to see what level I can connect with them on. But risky in terms of like will I offend someone? I'm going to try my absolute best not to. I think it all and I think that's in a lot of ways a comedian's responsibility. But
I see.
What that really gets me thinking about is what's it going to be next, right? Because usually for a lot of famous personalities, the risky things they've said now were not risky when they said them. Sure, there are people who are still racist, sexist, but a lot of people have said stuff in like the 80s, 90s in like specifically in places and situations and scenarios where it was perfectly okay for them to say that. And I mean, it wasn't a good thing for them to say, but it makes you think like what could possibly be going on right now that we don't realize is a good thing.
Totally. I totally agree.
I'm gonna be honest, Ryder.
It's funny.
I'm gonna be honest. I talk about this with my friends all the time. I tell them like within 10 years time, I'm probably going to get cancelled. Like legitimately, there's going to be fucking campaigns. If I'm big enough, like there's going to be legitimately campaigns to cancel my ass. Like that's what I just like joke around because like, dude, you I just say some things that are just not cool, and I agree with it. But hey, it's on the internet. It's just there for the world to see now, and it is what it is.
It is the one thing I'll disagree with there, Sad, is that you said if you're big enough. It's when you're big enough, my man. It's absolutely when you're big enough. That's when you'll be canceled.
Buddy, you're way bigger than me. You'll always be way bigger than me.
It's interesting what you were saying to Salman about like what flies then versus what flies now, and we were talking a little bit about before this, obviously, about Borat, and like
Borat.
I watched we all watched the second one, I know, and I watched the first one as well on Friday, and it's interesting. And that was my first time seeing the first one, and it's interesting seeing what kind of stuff would you couldn't do today. Like you couldn't say that stuff today in the same way. But the commentary he's making is still like mostly like 99% in line with like stuff that he's trying to say now. Like he's still trying to like shine a light on like people who are nuts and like trying to shine a light on things that are happening that are nuts.
Oh yeah.
But it's just the way he's doing it, It's interesting. A lot in the context.
It's crazy.
I think a nice story from Borat behind the scenes view that I think would be a good place to end would be that. So I don't know if you've reached this part of the movie yet because you're halfway through Saw, but this is this minor spoiler. There's a point where Borat goes to a convention, a Republican convention. He gets on stage as a singer.
I've seen that one.
And he starts singing
Wait, no, not the
Inject
singer
Obama
part.
with the Wuhan flu. All right?
Oh,
And he
yeah.
gets the whole crowd of not actors, just normal Americans, to start singing and chanting Inject Obama with the Wuhan flu.
Yeah.
Which is like, one, terrible. But two, what I think is really funny is 2 months ago, I read a news article about how Borat went to a Republican convention, probably the same one in the movie. He got the crowd to start singing Inject Obama with the Wuhan flu. And when the crowd realized that he wasn't legit, they started coming after him. But what he'd done was he'd hired an ambulance, a private ambulance, as a getaway vehicle. So he literally jumped in the back of an ambulance and, like, he planned it out like a heist. Like, this man has put, like, preparation and planning. Pulled
Legend.
all the stops.
Sacha Baron Cohen is... He's on multiple levels, dude. He's way higher than all of us, man. Dude, that guy is crazy.
He's literally
So
on another
crazy.
plane of comedic existence. For
Ryder,
us.
when are you pulling a heist, man? When are you pulling a comedic heist? I'm waiting for your fucking movie to come out.
Listen, I've signed too many NDAs to let you know, but you'll know. You know what I mean? It'll get to you.
Yeah, I'll see the articles, you know. I'll see,
Okay,
I'll
yeah,
see the
yeah.
mugshot when you're in jail.
PR team will get it, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But hey, on that note, Saul,
on
why
that
don't you
note,
take us
guys,
out?
thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining us for this amazing energy-filled episode. I have not felt this alive in a long time.
I agree.
And yeah, guys, we're done. Peace. Adios. Goodbye.